Uh, Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, uh, wherever you're listening it from. I'm very pleased to have Arul with us today. Arul aspires to connect the truth of humanity through his works with individuals, organizations, and multiple institutions. He's been sharing his inner work through his through his books. He's written a couple of them. One is the Into Great Depth of Your Being, and the other is The Flame Within. He also holds a Master Certified Leadership Coach certification from the Coach for Life Institute, and is the founder of People First Consultants, and has been in this particular space for last 26 years. That's a lot of time, guiding organizations to be value centered and providing leadership learning and development and talent and hiring services. He's also a guest faculty at IIT Madras, specifically for self-awareness and higher goals in education courses since 2011. He also offers periodically experiential workshops like new creation, integral education, intuition and innovation, and so on. He coaches a resonant few to be radiant universal leaders, coaches, educationists, and healers. Arul, thank you very much. Thank you for accepting our invite and being with us on Coach's Corner.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity. Even if it's a small group, we'll just have a nice chat and learn from each other. Yes.
Great. So, Arul, you talk passionately about coaching with depth. And I just want to know, I'm curious to know, how did your journey start on this path? Can you talk to us a bit more about that?
So I'll be brief, and then, as per the dialogue, we can go deeper. So I actually began my life as a trainer, right out of college with an engineering in my hand, but with the clarity of what I really wanted to do, I very boldly entered into training. And in a couple of months, I realized that the way I'm doing training, which is very puristic, really trying to go to the heart and soul of it, I realized that my capacity to be commercially, strong was not that great. So I branched off into some other area and moved training as my co-passion, which I did with corporates and otherwise. What I quickly recognized after a couple of years was I'll train, I'll facilitate, and at the end of the workshop, I'll hang around with 1 or 2 or 3, 4 individuals. And I was noticing that I was extraordinarily good in understanding them and guiding them almost spontaneously. It came very easily for me. So, slowly that happened. And then in 2011 is when I started being associated with the IIT Madras. One of the profs attended a course. Then he called me. He was starting the self-awareness course, so I went there, and there again the same thing started happening. So I'll finish the class, and for about 3 hours I'll be in the college discussing one-to-one. So I was doing it informally. Even at that time the coaching was picking up, but I was never, to be very honest, I was never looking at it as an option, formal and all that. Then a friend came home. He had attended Peter Redding's course, and the way he described that Peter was focusing both on the being and the doing. By the time I had seen some work on coaching, and I felt it was too much on the doing part, and he already was doing some stuff integrating both. But when I heard about Peter, I went, and I was very happy because he had some very simple stuff, and he was doing it in a very systematic manner. So I went as far ahead as I could in his system. The last I did was a 1-year course. I was lucky enough that I was the only guy in that program. So I attended the program, he coached me, etc., for more than a year. And by that time, I already had a model. So 2009 onwards, I started visiting Arul. I had gone through my own journeys, and I met somebody who was very steeped in the system. And we developed a model, what we call the 8 parts of the being. Which is why we call this coaching with depth. And then slowly from 2010 onwards, I was navigating most of my work to have this as the base point, because it was very good in pointing out the key problem and the key breakthrough points for people. So little further down, there are a few people who started coming repeatedly for my programs. I mean, almost they used to come for almost every program. So two of them, in fact, Ram and Anu, I'm very thankful to them because they pushed me and said, why don't you teach us what you do? And that's when the coaching with Dev began. We ran a few programs. Then we got a stint with IIT. We had an association with IIT for 2 years. We co-partnered with them. That association is over. Somebody has come. And now pretty much People First is anchoring this. So this is the journey that has come. And now I'm experimenting something different. I'm experimenting a larger scale coaching using social media as a as the platform. Trying to put some stuff, getting back some stuff, and trying to see if we could create some kind of a larger change. But you can't call it coaching formally, but that's a background in which I'm experimenting. So this is a nutshell. Happy to go into any direction as the group wishes.
Fantastic. So 8 parts of the being.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate a bit more on that?
Yeah. So to put it in a way that is comprehensible at the first go. So the way we do in this coaching is there are 3 layers. One is the layer of competency, which is what generally you meet. The companies call you and say, train my people on so and so. These are the leadership. So you either have a role competency or a functional competency. Okay, so there is a layer of competency, which is skills and behaviors. What we refer as the part of being is like the compartments of the mind, emotion, energy, senses, body, and deeper self. So we split the mind into 3: the data part of the mind, the creative part of the mind, and the integrative part of the mind. The emotion, the dynamic energy, the senses, body, and deeper self. Over the last how many years I've studied it, all universally, this is a model that can be applied to man, woman, any part of the world. It will correlate with the chakra system. It will correlate with psychology. We have done that homework enormously. So anybody whom we are coaching, we look at how the parts of being are functioning. Today we have a tool. The app is coming out in maybe 12 days or so, which we'll be releasing it complimentary. So that'll help somebody to understand, hey, this is what is working well. That's the lower part of the iceberg. You can't just make a skill change without making a corresponding change at the mind or change at the emotion. So here it captures and lets you know what's working well, what's not working well. The third layer is what we now refer as the essence. The essence is your fundamental vision, principle, or nature, which is your evolving component. That has been my pursuit for 26 years. I was always interested in finding life purpose. I used to do it in a very complicated manner in the beginning. Take people roundabout. But over 26 years, I guess I figured out a very simple way, which is what we call essence. Discover your essence or discover your work essence. So it has the essence layer, 8 parts of being, and competencies.
Oh,
that's basically what we do.
That's nice. That's pretty nice. Any questions from the audience?
Yeah, we could just keep it interactive.
Because here's hi Satya here. So my question is that how you evaluate how effective is your coaching session with your client?
Me as Arul, or you're asking as Arul or asking the model?
No, as Arul.
As Arul.
Yep.
Well, it's extraordinarily effective. Very few sessions and that's it.
No. How you capture the effectiveness? How you meet?
How do I capture the effectiveness of the coaching session?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Very simple.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So when I do it organizationally, we use the tool, which means there is a pre and a mid and a post. Normally we drop the mid. We don't do the mid. So there's a 8 parts of being assessment. With many of my organizations, I custom make the tool on the competency. So we'll have 2 tools. One is the 8 parts of being tool, and the other is the competency tool. So for example, let's say, Ernst & Young is approaching. So for the leadership level, so they will have a lot of data from the, local and global. So I take the data, but most often, what will happen is it will just be statements. So what I do is I split the competencies into being and doing competencies. So for example, if you have curiosity, there are certain being components of curiosity and certain doing components of curiosity. So I create an assessment tool for them, which generally will take 2 months. Once we do that, then we test it out. So we roll it out in the beginning and we roll it out at the end. And people see their own transition. This is corporate. But when individuals approach me, whether it is leaders or other ways, I go with the person's configuration. For some people, we don't use such stuff, but we know the progression, what they came from and what happens in the coaching journey. But that again, 80 to 90% of the time, what they come and say, this is what I seek to be coached on, is hardly the truth of what they really want. The truth of what they really want comes through in the first or second session. So even the ask evolves, and one sees whether they are making progression or not. So did I answer your question, Satya? So I do it in multiple ways. There's a formal way and there's an informal way. I do both as the need of the person.
Satya, you're on mute.
So sorry. Thank you. So actually, I got that being and capable of part, but how do you exactly evaluate that the person is on clarity of purpose? Because that is one thing which a real mentoring and coaching sessions aim at. Because when you give the clarity, that brings confidence and action. So how do you assess that? Yeah, that person has really got his clarity of purpose.
Yeah, so you would know it in the session itself. So for example, they want to find their purpose or vision. If you take that as an example, if they find it, then you would have what is called a resonance that is occurring inside them. And when so I see one thing in this way that I do the coaching is the capacity of the coach to spot and listen is extraordinarily important. Okay, so which means me as a person who's coaching or guiding them, I should know whether the person is getting into confusion or something is awakening inside them. I should know that. And that comes from years of inner practice that I do. So one key crux in the way that I do coaching is practice, which means that, if you want something to develop, you have to do some practice. So as a coach, how can I recognize that the other person is getting into an insight or not is the first thing. So in the absence of which, exactly what you're asking will happen. It'll be like, it's a confused journey. They may feel insightful, but actually it doesn't touch them any deeper. But when you're watching, when there is a spark that gets lit, often you will know. You will know it because, there's something that is lighting up. Now, how much they hold that or not is a function of their practice, which in my humble view, coaching should enable that also. So there is a happening, there is a recognition, and there is a need to continuation. Evaluation comes post it, or evaluation is happening all the time. Okay, there's a difference between spotting and evaluation. Spotting, in evaluation, you're using some kind of a fixed structure to evaluate. In spotting, you have to go beyond those structures and really understand, okay, so this person has got in touch with something. We need to hang around there. Or we need to know that, okay, this person, somewhere we have hit off the sideways and it's going into a gully where, it's not really that useful and we should know to call that out. So that comes purely by your awareness. Your awareness as a coach would heighten their awareness as a coachee at that point of time.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Thanks.
In fact, that reminds me of what one of the coaches with whom I was having a conversation, what he was telling me is, unless and until you experience what you can, the kind of difference that you can make to others, you can't make your clients experience it. So you're bringing it to the same point around the awareness, practice. Yeah. Great. Any other questions?
Yeah, we can go deeper into anything that you wish. And Satya, don't get satisfied by my answers. Huh? Please, if you feel that I'm bullshitting, let me know. Then we'll discover something together.
No way you can expect honesty from me.
Okay, yeah. But the whole thing, Satya, go ahead.
Yeah, please.
No, go ahead.
Say, I don't know what I do is exactly coaching or mentoring, or people of young age, they come to me a lot because I always find it very interesting to work with young chaps. So, do you find a kind of approach difference when a fellow of say 20s is coming to you and a person of 40s coming to you?
It's a good question, actually. It's a question that we can reflect quite a bit. I guess the answer would have depended at different points of my age. And right now, I would answer it at how I experience it right now. See, first of all, I coach people right from 10 years of age upwards. Okay. Now, 10 to say perhaps 14, 15 or whatever is a very interesting age to coach, because that is where the individuation is occurring. They individuate, they rebel, and it's a fantastic age group to work with. Most of the time in such places, group coaching works very well. See, I'm a big fan of group coaching. It works enormously well. And then you will get those bunch of few guys who need like a little bit of a one-to-one, and I go for that. Now there, I use a very different approach. In fact, I follow no approach. It's like, it's very chaotic, it's very random. When it comes to the group coaching, we take a topic, we just, angle from here, angle from there. End of the day, you want them to have an experience. Like, I'll give you, if you don't mind, an example, I'll share an example. So we were a bunch of, when everything was fine, and, in this office, we used to have people coming in monthly, one half a day Sunday. We used to have about 15, 20 people. And sometimes it's a hop in off, off. They come, they drop off, etc., etc. Some continue. So in one session, a girl had joined from the 5th standard. That was the first class. Okay. Everything I do it in a group coaching format. So that day it was intuition and creativity, which was the topic of exploration. So we do 1.5 hours, and then we take a break, and then 1.5 hours. And in such sessions, we do what is called watching your natural breath. Watching the natural breath, I would swear, is one of the best coaching tools I've ever discovered in my life. And I can share deeper as we go by. So we did that. And the problem with that is many students can't sit straight even for 5-10 seconds. So they lie down. One guy will come behind my back. All that is allowed, by the way. There's no other adult in the room, so all that is allowed. Now, then we started talking about intuition, and there was a boy, I think, who tore a paper from his notebook, made a rocket, and sent it to me. It landed beside me. Okay. Now I picked that paper, I did another rocket, I sent it back, it landed on his head. And in the meanwhile, we are talking, intuition and creativity. This girl is shocked. Obviously must have come from a background where teachers are supposed to behave like this. And you can see the shock in her face. And her hand is also reaching out to a paper. Okay. So she was sharing something on intuition and all that stuff. And over a period of 3 minutes struggles, her hand went and she did another rocket, sent it to me, landed rightly. I did another kind of rocket, landed rightly. By this time, she had loosened up. The next statement she made on intuition is the best I've ever heard over 26 years. And it didn't come from a logical mind. It came because we were intensely discussing something. There was chaos. There was a certain flexibility, and then it popped up. What she said was, uncle, if I have to go to 10, and if I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, that is logic. That is reason. We all said yes. Uncle, if I straight away go to 10, and if I stay at 10, and I discover how to be there, that is intuition. It's perfect. It's the best I've ever heard so far. Okay. Such kind of sparks I've seen in that age group, which I don't get in general in any other age group. So it's a fantastic age group to work. When I work with young adults or college-going people, it's very difficult actually to work with them. One of the reasons being is most of them get caught with one kind of an addiction or the other, and their capacities to go deeper, their capacities to dwell on is partial. So often then I have to begin the purification work and guiding them and all that stuff. The rest of it depends on the people, it depends on whether it's a male or a female, whether it is intuitive kind of a person or not. But off late, I'm hitting very well with the people above 50, perhaps because I'm also reaching that point and they're also looking at certain depth. So a certain kind of a resonance is happening. So I hope I answered your question. It differs, and the younger generations are very, very interesting to work with because they have such great potential. And if you can truly coach them, group or individual, there's great potential in this.
Very interesting.
I appreciate all. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Any other questions? From the audience?
Yes, Kumar, Haripriya, yes, Seema.
Hi, Arul. I just joined about 10 minutes after the session started. You were talking about something on competencies, and I think I missed that. Did I hear that right?
Yeah. So Aditya was asking what, the kind of work that I do. So I say one of the key works that we do is the 8 parts of being, which sits deeper than the competency. It's how your mind is working, how your emotion is working. And this particular model I've studied now for 12 years.
Lovely.
And hardly I see fundamental changes. The pattern largely has been, I've seen, it goes up and down developmental, but the center of gravity remains the same. So which means there is something about the way we use our mind, the way we use our emotion. And it's very important to bring light to that, which is one of the works that we do. Yeah.
Absolutely. Anything did I miss that you shared in depth about these 8?
Yeah, I can go into that. So the first part, which is split into 3, is the mind. Okay, there is one part of the mind, which is what is capitalized today in the corporate world: data analytics, show me the data, information, etc., etc. There's another part of the mind, which is the creative mind.
Right.
Now, the creative mind, there's one part of the mind, which is the creative mind, which runs from desires. There's another part of the creative mind, which runs from idea. So we call that the idea force, which is what is truly vision creation. So that is the second. The third part of the mind is what we call it integrative mind, but basically it is fractal thinking, it's systemic thinking, being able to see the form and essence, looking at different things and knowing the essence of that. These are the 3 parts of the mind. So when we are coaching somebody using the model, we figure out which part is working well for them, which part is dormant, which part is limiting. We see the leader of the mind and the suppressed or limiting part of the mind. Okay. Then we go to what we refer as a vital life energy, which is basically emotions, dynamic energy, and the senses. Even in corporate, we do. When we say senses, we take the psychological equivalent, which is joy, humor, and all that stuff. Here again, there will be a leader. There will be one that is a leader, and the other is either supporting or sometimes, not at all there. Then there is the physical component, which is also the habit creation component, and the deeper self. Deeper self is the intuitive part of us, the divinity inside us, etc. Yeah.
Lovely. Brilliant. And would you also, I'm just curious because I come from the coaching background myself, so I'm a little curious on this. So would you also do any assessment on personality styles to attribute all of these? Because it depends on various situations as well.
Yeah. So there are 2 things we do. One is we use what they have. So for example, when I go for some customers, they have this disc, which is extraordinarily popular, especially if it's a European-based company.
Yeah.
Enneagram is a fantastic tool. It's one of the best tools I've come across, Enneagram. Okay. So we take what they have. Otherwise, what we do is we have created, Seema knows my wife. Her name is Uma. She's done a PhD, creating this model and validating this model through IT Madras, and she's finished it. So we now have a tool which kind of looks at, which part of being is active, dormant, kind of a thing. So we have that tool also developed right now, which is like an online assessment tool. So this is what we do. We generally use ours, and we take. With most of our customers, especially corporate assignments, I create a competency framework for them. Most of the time they agree because I don't charge for that. I just do it because I like doing it and it's more effective that way. I just charge only for the coaching part. But there, what I do is I cut their competencies into being part and doing part. I'll give you an example. Most of the time they'll come and say, I train my leaders to be creative. So I'll give you one example of being in a state of wonder. This is an inner state. Now, unless you have that inner state, externally you can do A, B, C, you can ask some great questions, but you will not be in that state of wonder. So you need the being state. So we'll do that, and we'll put the doing things also. We have done 360-degree assessment also. I'll give you the method. The reason I'm giving it is I want more people to use this. It works really well. When you're doing the 360, being should not be assessed by others. Being is only self-assessment. If you put being for assessment of others, you will get huge confusions. Okay, so being should be self-assessment. Doing should be self and 360, and it works enormously well. It's a very simple way of doing it, and that's the way I work with people. Yeah.
I think I would definitely want to learn about this as well.
Yeah,
Very interesting. I like the being and the
doing, yeah.
being element and doing element is fantastic. And I
Yeah, and I
love,
can tell you, interestingly, many of the organizations are buying it. There is no problem. It's not that you have to go and sell them and all that. They are quite keen to pick it up. I've never seen so far, or I don't want being. It's not occurring actually. They're okay because they understand it. Yeah.
correct, correct. Very well said. And I also like the three minds, the way you've divided that into very well, very well. Thank you. Thank you. I'll definitely reach out
Yeah.
to on this element.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You'll be surprised. Yes, Imaya, you'll be surprised that some of these 7th, 8th standard students have fantastic integrative minds.
Mm.
Fantastic. And I don't know from where it comes, but I've seen a couple of that. And it's just that they don't get the opportunity. Both in school and colleges, the creative mind and the integrative mind are not developed. It's a huge loss for us.
Yeah.
But they have it. We need to upgrade our systems. Yes. Yes, Seema.
Yeah. So, Arul, I use the Enneagram, so I was really happy to hear you mention that. I was wondering through your experience, since you work with different age groups, and I'm also very attracted to the younger generation, and I'm building something for 10 to 14 age group. But are there trends that you're able to see in terms of coaching needs that are arising for, let's say, 10 to 14 vis-a-vis typically their parents, right? Which will probably be, let's say, 30 to 40.
Yeah.
How is one age group's coaching needs feeding the other? What trends are you seeing?
Yeah, so the first thing they will not be able to articulate this is that 10 to 14 is the individuation period.
Mhm.
Let's see, for me, it is post-college that I individuated, which means I started, rebelling, differing, and, for them, it begins somewhere in the 5th or before. So age 10, they started individuating, but they will not have that vocabulary. They will not have that understanding because this is also not understood by us. So personally, to me, we need to have some coaching methodology, exercise, or practice that will help them to discover who they are. Okay, and for that we use the simple method of form and essence. And I'll give you an example of what that. Say somebody likes, let's say, dancing. Now, generally, an adult would respond by saying, "Hey, you like dance, you learn dance." But we go to the essence of it. Somebody may like dance because they like the beauty part of it. Somebody may like dance because they like the rhythm of it. Somebody may like the part that it has an ancient tradition. Somebody may like the creative movement. The moment you get the essence, you will have many commonalities. Essence is a part of your core nature. So at age 10, you can start recognizing core essence, but you have to have the maturity to see through their rebellion. Or through their greatest minuses, you may get a quicker glimpse of the essence than even their positive. So one stream has to look at their, understanding of their essence. The second is that, obviously, which could be their potential, career choices or whatsoever. Because in some of these guys who have come here, in 8th, they have discovered. One guy wants to do business. He's already attempted to, he's got into good losses. And of course, these are good learning experiences. Another person has gone into the automobile shop, looked at cars, has started designing. That Tata came up with some competition. 2 of them submitted. So at 8, 9, they already start exploring what their interest is. That's another thing. It is very important to coach around senses. Senses addictions and sexuality is very important to coach. Because otherwise they get very much knotted on that. And I can give you an example of a girl. She came in the 5th standard, so I watched her grow. And in the 8th, I could see she's extraordinarily beautiful. Okay, and I could see the whole confusion that was happening. And then I asked her to meet me, and then I spoke to her. She spoke about the huge levels of attraction that is inside her, and she's confused because she's coming from a tradition background. And she doesn't know what to do about it. So I coached, guided, I gave her some practices and all that stuff. So basic bare minimum, I would say, are these 3. And then you can add whatever is in your repertoire. With college students, I somewhat come with the same formula, but the percentages dip rather largely. The number of people interested to go for essences dip when they come to college, which is what I have seen. In the younger, they at least 60, 70 will make an attempt. Here it's only 30, 35. Okay, so then for them, it is more the practical stuff, like how can I, earn more money? How can I get into a startup or this or that? I have a relationship difficulty. What do I do? So the practical aspects of the life start gripping there more, and the coaching kind of goes around. That is what I've seen. Beyond that, I guess it's like it depends on the age and this thing. At the midpoint, people have different needs and these things. It's more about. See, there's another phenomenon I'm noticing. I don't know if you have noticed. In the last 2 years, I've had 7 women come to me, age around 34, 37, not married. And they came purely to find their life partners, and none of them have found their life partner yet. It's not a function of my coaching. It's just the fact that they're very spiritual, they're very individualistic, and they're not able to find, and they have people, they're literally living with somebody, but they don't know how to go. So there are very different phenomena. I think what comes to you is what you can coach. So beyond that age group, I can't answer in general, because certain kind of people come to me. Another kind of people will come to you, and that's the kind of people that you need to coach and what you need to offer there. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, super. Thanks, Arul.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, Kumar, you're on mute.
Yeah. Arul.
You just go a little louder, like.
You need to be a bit louder, Kumar.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, I'm called Bhaskar, actually.
Okay,
Yeah,
nice,
for the
yeah.
Zoom thing, yeah. Okay. You've been coaching different age groups.
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to know your experience of coaching, where you come to a point, okay, the coachee is totally responsive towards a certain point, and you think, okay, my job is getting done. And then right at that moment, the coachee loses the track, and then you have had to do it all over again. Did you get?
Yeah. So let me get it if I got it right. Things have progressed. It's come to a nice point, right point, and then the coachee derailed.
And then you had to do it again. I mean, so are there any such kind of experiences and that you have faced, and how frequent are they in this coaching field is what I was
Okay, I may not answer it too well, because I've not faced this too much, but let me answer it as best as I understand, which simply tells me that the insight is cerebral and it is not internalized yet. That is the conclusion I will make out of it. Okay. So for me, I have developed a method. I'll give you a story and then I'll tell you how I developed a method. Once, through some contacts, I got one MD of one mid-sized company. Okay. So he called me, I went to his place, and then he said, coach me. I said, okay. So normally we have to go there. I said, Arul, I'll come to your place. No, we are supposed to come. No. Here people won't let me. I'll come to your place. Okay. So this guy comes to my office, and, MD coming and all that. So I keep a nice place and all that. Comes, he has a fantastic session, goes back. Then he comes back next session after 14 days. He said, Arul, the session was fantastic, but can you just give me a crisp summary of what we did? I said, like, what? Crisp summary of what we did after 14 days? Okay, so I did that once, and then we had a fantastic session, okay? Second session, brilliant, very happy, and this guy is really building up his place. It's like, okay. Third session, he comes back, prompt, 14 days. And then, he says, like, I ask him, so did you do anything? Like, Arul, you know what? And again, same question. So for me, I kind of got a sense that this person is going for the kick of it or the inside of it, and actually dropped the person. I mean, I'm just being honest, because for me, I can't do it like that, because so now there was once when I was assigned for a corporate coaching. Okay, there was a corporate leadership coaching of 6 women leaders. I'll combine it with something. So in that organization, SEMA, they used the Enneagram. So they used Enneagram to pair the coachee with the coach. I was stunned by the pairing. Like, there was one person who was extraordinarily far more skilled than me, but we were of the same profile, and the coaching took her like leaps and bounds. Okay, so that happened. But there was one person where I don't know what was happening in the coaching conversation. So she didn't understand much. it was all going haywire, but I had to do it because it is a corporate assignment. You can't just back off because I was being subcontracted through another coaching company. So it'll affect them also. So I did my best. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. We did. At one point, I'm just being honest, nothing was clicking. I gave her my book and I said, just pick one page, read. How do you apply it? So I've gone to that points also. But in general, your question simply means to me that internalizing is not occurring there. So the method I use now is, in the coaching session itself, I put the practice. I ask them to do the practice in the coaching session. Because most of the people, when they promise that they're going to do it outside, you know for sure 60% are not going to do it, or they may do only 30-40% of it. A good majority, I put it into the coaching session, which means the pace at which it goes slows down, but actually it goes faster. So whatever, if they're supposed to brainstorm, they're supposed to brainstorm. If they're supposed to, work on a particular limitation, we decide a practice and they have to do the practice there. And I'm also doing the practice with them. So that way the internalization gets better. So I'm a big fan of doing practice in the coaching session and not giving as homework, which will reduce this to some extent, I feel.
Right. Thank you. The other thing is, how do you get the idea? How do you get the idea of this internalization from the coach's side? Like, do you look for linguistic clues or non-linguistic, paralinguistic, or meta?
No, so for me, I've made it very simple because I have this model, these 8 parts of being, and I have created the rule, and I know how to crack the code of that, and I know how to observe. Since I've done that for so many years, it becomes very easy for me to figure out which part is lagging. So for example, I'll give you an example. They're having a problem with their boss. Okay, I'll quickly know whether the entanglement is an emotional entanglement, or it's an ideological entanglement, or it's a battle of wills. I will be able to quickly configure. Also because I have been doing body work for enormous years right now. In the absence of body work, you will not be able to do it. The absence of body work is in between. I'll ask this question: where in the body you experience the difficulty? Okay, so for me, though it is not part of your ICFs and all that, doing body work or bringing focus on the body is extraordinarily useful because you will ground them. Yep. So I have a way, and then I'll go also with what they are saying. I'll look at what they are saying. So do I look at their words? No, because most of the time their words do not reveal the right thing. The words, it's a very rare individual where you will get the right words matching what their right struggles are. 72, even their asks, most of the time the words are not accurate. So I look for beneath the words. I look for those sparks. I look for sparks of resonance. I look for sparks of frustration. I look for sparks of aspiration, and then I'll go around it to uncover. So words and linguistics, you will get partial clues. But if you observe them, pay careful attention to the experiences that are going on as we discussed, then you will get far more richer clues.
Okay, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
With just one more.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not a coach.
Good.
Okay, I'm interested in this field, and then for a novice,
yes,
like me,
yes,
how do I get these things, like the internalization? How do I get the clues? I mean, the kind of advice that you can give to people who want to embark on this journey of coaching.
Okay, so I'll give you 2 answers. Okay, one is you will take the best model of what you are able to work with and use it. For example, Seema can use Enneagram. I use this, and I am comfortable with few other models also. I can take an Enneagram and I'll know how to connect. I can take a disc and I'll know how to connect. I can work with any model. Okay, so I'll have a few models and maybe their own model. But if I were to be very honest, I will say that as a coach, it is your responsibility to do inner work, or what they traditionally call as sadhana. Personally, to me, a coach who does not do sadhana will be a great coach on the surface, but their spotting and observation skills will be average only. If you want to spot and observe, you will have to do sadhana, which means what? you should practice how to work on your mind. You should practice how to work on your patterns. That when you do and you get a breakthrough, automatically that listening will come. Automatically, what that guidance that will suit them, or the insight or the practice that you can cull from them will come, because it will not be exactly that you will put your practice on them. That's not the point. You would have gone to the depth of it, that automatically there'll be a spotting and a guidance. Hi, man. How are you? Your father wants to guide you well. Huh?
That's my son crashing on into the meeting.
No, good. All good. So I will say, do your inner practice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a process that has to evolve.
It's a lifetime practice.
Yeah.
Lifetime
Thank you very much.
I just want to add, actually, Arul, to what you said about language. I'm doing some course right now, and one of the profs there said that language actually corrupted communication, and that really stayed with me, because I realized that at a time when we didn't have language to use, um, you know, as a crutch, for lack of a better word, I think people were emoting so much more honestly than what we are today, right? I mean, today there's a problem of too many words, if at all.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Thanks for reminding me about that. Yeah.
Thank you. And also, I personally noticed the problem of following, the methods and the checklists in coaching. After a point, I said, look, I'm going to learn it, keep it aside, and come natural. It has to come natural to a point where you're observing the whole person there. And just to reiterate, Zoom coaching is even more better than personal coaching, in my humble opinion, except if you're doing body work where a certain in-presence is needed. Both Zoom and in-person are equally effective. We just have to train ourselves to observe. For me, basically, half of coaching is observation. Spotting. Enormous practice can be done. So if Kumar wants to become a coach, go on the streets, watch people. Observe. Slowly you will start understanding, and then that will come into the coaching. So it's observation of yourself and the other. And thanks, Seema. Definitely we have to go beyond all that. Yeah.
That's a great one.
Yes, Junior Bhaskar, what do you want to say?
Okay, I'll be on mute. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Aditya, hi.
No problem, Bhaskar. So the couple of interesting things that have emerged, and Seema's statement quite sits with me. That is, language has corrupted communication. I mean, I'm going to use this more often, Seema. And I really liked your aspect of making the coachee practice in the session. That is so powerful. Actually, that's really powerful.
Thank you.
And that helps and not only do they practice, but also what happens is, as they start internalizing it, they might probably see some challenges and some nuances that they need to rectify as they do it practically there, which that feedback comes instantly. And that might probably egg them to do more and be more consistent at it. So that's a fantastic point.
Yeah.
Great. Satya, you want to ask any question?
Yeah. Yes. Because I personally was not in very much agreement with group coaching. So I just want to listen more on how you are practicing this group coaching thing.
Okay, so I'll give you an example of an organization. Okay, I worked with this organization for many years right now. Originally, I was doing training. Then about 5-6 years back, I moved into coaching assignments. So normally, this is the longest I get to work in anything. So I get normally about 12 coaching sessions for a group of supervisors. That's really long. Okay? So we can really do a lot of depth work. The sessions were coming well, but it is the HR's head brilliance. He cracked it. He came and said, Arul, your sessions are really good. But somehow I get a feel that you come up with an idea where we have them together also, so that there is a together journey that gets built. So then I worked out a formula of group coaching plus individual coaching. Okay, so see, the thing with a group coaching is that it's very effective when you're discussing certain things that are common for those people. Like in this case, there are about 10 supervisory cadre who are in that coaching. In another case, I'm coaching 2 founders simultaneously, but the formula is group coaching first, and then we'll split into individual, because we are laying out the culture, the vision part, even though it's an existing organization. So group coaching helps you to have shared between them. They have shared language, they bring something. So otherwise, if you split it individual, they then have to go back between them and talk and arrive at some kind of consensus or not, which may or may not work too well because of time, because they may not have the skills of facilitation. But when you hold that space, whatever is the differences can get voiced, and there can be something that can come together. It is not coming together by what is agreed upon alone. It is coming together at an energetic level.
Okay.
So the group coaching facilitates that, and then you need to split into one-to-one. Like we have a formula of 4 group coachings, 2 one-to-ones, and then 2 group coachings, and then 3 one-to-ones, and we close, or something of this sort. So you balance it out. And as a coach, it is also easy. You just have to hold attention on, same formula applies. You just have to hold the attention on everybody, and everybody becomes that space for you, which you are supposed to coach, guide, kind of a thing. It's even more easier because you have more people, and if somebody gets stuck, something will come. But you need to sense intuitively. You need to sense intuitively whether it is an artificial insight, whether truly there is resonance happening, whether it's getting integrated, or it's going to go back and spill off into something else. That comes over the years of making errors and overlooking few things. Like I have messed a few top assignments once or twice because I just missed sensing 1 or 2. So then I go back, I'll reflect, and then I up my muzzle on that. So in group coaching, you have to pay attention so much, but it is very powerful, actually.
Yeah. In fact, just to add to what you're saying, I've worked with a few couples who were having marital challenges, and they wanted to kind of stay bonded better and all that stuff. Even there, a combination of what you were talking about, some group coaching and some individual coaching, it has worked wonders actually. And some of the action items that were coming through in group coaching sessions, when I followed them up individually, they were holding each other accountable. That loss of the essence in translation gets minimized during a group coaching, because everybody is receiving it at the same time and in the same way. So fantastic point, sir.
And at a corporate level, it's a good seller because you can save costs for them and have more value also. So you can sell it out well. The cost will reduce when you bring it in coaching.
True. Great one. Before we go to the next question, just a small announcement on the future of Coaches Corner. So thanks to people like Seema who have been there with me almost from the start. So with the lockdown lifting, with everybody kind of getting busier with their group, we've taken a poll as to what is the ideal time of this particular Coaches Corner on a go forward basis. So quite a few of them have went ahead and said that it happening on a weekday, that too towards the evening, is a much better option for them. Because weekends, they feel that it might start coming in the way of their family commitments and things like that. So what I've decided is we will start having these sessions not every Wednesday, Wednesdays from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. so that even if somebody has some commitments during the daytime, they would be able to wrap that up. The second thing is, as I'm lining up guests for the future sessions, there are a few of them who are coming in from US, Canada regions. So getting it at 6 or 7 in the evening is much easier to get their time as opposed to getting them sometime in the afternoon, or even this time becomes a bit challenging for them. So the frequency of the sessions would move from weekly to monthly. So we would have it the first Wednesday of every month from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. so that it becomes easier for whoever wants to attend to manage their calendars and be there. Right. So Sorry, Arul. Sorry for this.
Will commuting?
Yes.
Yeah, just one, Aditya. Because many people are currently with different kind of assignments. Normally, 6 o'clock is a commuting time for them. So I stay very close to my factory. So never issue for me.
Yeah, Satya, the thing is, in an event like this, it becomes difficult to get a time that is suitable for everybody. And that's where I record this and then I post it on YouTube. So if anybody wants to take a look at it, they can take a look at it later on also. In fact, Seema's priority was not this. She was more okay with the weekend one. Am I correct, Seema? Yeah. But as I said, it becomes difficult for me to kind of map it with everybody's choice. All right. Should we move to the next question?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just wanted to say that I have to sign out. I'm actually at my in-laws' place and we are all using one laptop. Multiple people having multiple appointments. So my daughter gave me, now I'm passing it on to my father-in-law, the laptop for another call.
Okay.
So yeah, thanks so much, Arul. Always so
Thank
good
you.
and inspiring to, see you do what you do with so much passion. So, but
Thank you
we
so
should
much,
connect,
Seema.
one-on-one.
Yep. See you
Yeah.
soon. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks,
Bye.
Aditya.
Yep.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you, Seema. Bye. All right. Any other question for Arul? So before we sign off, I want to ask you a question, Arul.
Yes.
This is more based on the work that you're doing around self-awareness. And also given the fact that you are with IIT Madras as a guest faculty talking about self-awareness and talking to their students about it. So how do you define self-awareness? Okay. And is there any tip or anything that you can quickly give to us to kind of work on improving it?
You put a question which I can't answer right at the end. So how do I define self-awareness? I have no clue. See, this is a very, I can experientially answer it if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Definition, I don't know. I'll answer it experientially. So there is awareness, which means like, I can be aware of the object outside, but most of the time my awareness is locked or entangled with my thoughts, emotions, or energies. So first of all, my awareness is locked in, and thus whole bunch of difficulties come. The first act in any experience of awareness is to figure out that there is an awareness which is falling on something. Okay. And then one can relax that awareness so that it becomes vast, wide, and quieter. That is the first thing to be doing on awareness. The next comes is, what are you aware of? I'm aware of what's outside. Well, then, are you also aware of your own self, which comes what we call as the parts of beings? Well, that's fine, but that's just about your mind and emotion. Are you also aware of something which is guiding you from inside? You could call your soul, or you could call that spark or whatever, which is what we call the deeper self. So there is an awareness and what we are aware of. And that is outside, inner, and inmost. But there are few people on planet Earth who are extraordinarily aware of subtle things, like how the plants communicate with humans, how nature communicates with us, how gods and goddesses or beings interact with us. So they have a very expanded or subtle sense of awareness. So they are also aware of that. This is how I experientially understand self-awareness. And I'm sorry if I disappointed you with no definition, because I have no idea.
No. So what I have seen personally is it's probably a highly abused word these days.
Yeah.
That's true. With everybody giving their own things. So I just.
But it doesn't have too much of hashtag,
I'm glad it doesn't. Because it is very personal to everybody.
Correct. Yeah.
It's very personal to everybody. So
correct.
Anything that any small practice that we can do to kind of enhance
I can tell you this simple thing. What is time now? Oh, it's 5. Yeah. So if you give me 2 minutes, I'll
go ahead.
do a practice. Okay.
Sure.
What we'll do for 2 minutes, whoever is here, we'll just close our eyes and pay attention to your breath as it is. We call it natural breath, which means don't modify anything. It can be good, bad, ugly, or whatever. Just close your eyes and just be with your breath wherever it flows. You will get distracted because you will know is 2 minutes over or whatever. Some thought will come. When you get distracted, just go back to the natural breath. Be there for 2 minutes. We'll begin now. Okay, just to get a flavor. Yeah. You could keep trying this. It's one of the best tools. It slowly will calm you down and your awareness will heighten. It will calm you and awareness will heighten. I do it in between coaching sessions. I just ask the person to do it for a couple of minutes. The true self of the person will come after this actually. But that will come when you practice sufficiently. You just keep watching the natural breath. And then when you ask the other person, you are also with the natural breath, you will get, your awareness will go up. They will come more from their true nature. So how this occurs and all, I don't know. You can check it out.
That's great. That's great. So yeah, we are 3 minutes over, and cognizant of everybody's time. So I want to really thank you, Arul, for your time.
Yes,
and
thank you.
For making me go through the breath practice, because I would have done it after this session before I got ready for my 5:30. So thanks a lot for bringing it forward. And yeah, as you rightly said, it's a very powerful practice.
Yeah.
It's a very powerful practice. So, thank you very much. Thank you for all your insights. I have a few pages of notes that I've taken down. Really appreciate your time, and we'll stay connected.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye. See you guys.
Bye bye.